All right, this demo is going to be on the first multi-view part called Special Key. Here it is right up here. This will be on your Google Docs. This part is it's a rectangular shape that has 3 cuts in it. I'm just going to show you a 3-dimensional part of this thing real fast here. So what we have here is we have this what was a block, and it was cut once on the top up here. So first cut, second cut on the bottom, and then the third cut kind of coming down from the top, sort of taking a chunk out like this. So we're going to create these multi-views kind of that same way. We're going to make the box, we're going to cut it out, and we're going to make this thing called a multi-view projection. All right, so let's get this thing started. So first, if you look at this thing, you'll notice that it's longer than it is tall. So if I'm looking at the straight on, it's definitely longer this way than it is tall. I would say probably twice as long as it is tall, maybe 2.5 times longer than it is tall. So we want to create that proportion that's correct. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is you're going to create that box. So on the bottom left corner, we're going to go ahead and very lightly just kind of create this rectangle, make it about the same size mine is. Nice light lines here. And just create that box where it's 2.5 or so times longer than it is tall. So it might look something, maybe like that. If you don't like your box, you can always make it a little taller, or a little bit longer, depending on what you think looks good proportionally. So don't be afraid to change that. If you do it lightly, you can just, erase some of the excess, and you're off and running. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. That's reasonably straight. It's there on that bottom left corner. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the top view. So this would be what's considered the front. The top view, the length of the top is the same as the length of the front. So if the length of the front, let's just say that was 5.5 inches, then the length of the top would also be 5.5 inches, because the part doesn't grow longer just because you look at it from the top. So picture your house. If you look at your house from the front of it, and it was 30 feet long, and then you got into a helicopter and went down and looked at the top of your house, how long would it be? It would still be 30 feet long. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow that length that we did on the front view here, and we're going to just project that up. So we're going to take that line just ever so lightly and project it straight up like this. Just keep it as straight as you can. I like locking my wrist and then just kind of pushing, and that does pretty good. So nice and light like that. And we're going to create a space between these views. We're going to start our first line of our top view. All right, and that's how long the top's going to be. Now, on this particular view, the top's not very wide. It's not very deep, if you will. All right, I would say, wow, it's probably 5 or 6 times longer than it is, than it is deep. So we're going to take that proportion as well. We're going to say that, maybe somewhere like right around there. All right, so we've got this kind of top view boxed in, and we've got this front view boxed in. Okay, now, if I go back to that front view, you'll notice that the height of the front, something like that, whatever that height is, let's just call that 3. If that was 3, then how tall would the side view be? Well, if you're looking at something from the front and it's 3 tall, from the side view, it's also going to be 3 tall. It doesn't grow or shrink just because you look at it from a different size. So once again, we're going to borrow from that front view. We're going to project, hence the multi-view projection, a very light line coming across like this. And then we're going to start that view. Well, let's go and start it somewhere like right around here somewhere. Eventually, we're going to use these spaces in between the views to put numbers in there for what are called dimensions. Now, here comes the tricky part. Agree that if the width of this, let's just say that was 1.5, agree that whatever that is, the width of the side would be the same. The width is the width. So if the width of it from the top is 1.5, then the width of it from the side would also be 1.5. So here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to take that first line you made. I'm going to call this a driveway line. We're just going to take that and just kind of bring that over just like that. Just bring it right into the first line. Now, here comes the tricky part. It's almost going to be like a driveway. I'd like you to take this distance and make it over here. So just driveway that thing around. and try to keep that the same distance. In the end, we want that distance to stay the same. And then you're going to have to do a little bit of eyeball check there and just say, does that look the same as that? No, I think mine's a little bit skinny. I'm just going to bring that over just a little bit and then just bring this around until I feel comfortable with the fact that it's right. So the width of the top and the width of the side are going to be the same. So this is your first block, if you will, setup. So this is your front view here. We haven't cut it out yet. There's the front view. There's the top view here. I wouldn't be darkening these right now. I'm just going to just a little bit darker to show you those lines. And then again, you have to do the visual check yourself and just do a quality check and make sure yours looks right. Does that look the same as that? Yeah, it looks pretty good right there. Does that look the same as that? Does that look the same as that? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. So once we've made the box, then we cut it out. So let's see. Or if you want to, let's look at the thing that I gave you on the internet there. So there's the part. It didn't give you numbers here. That gives you a little bit of help. What we have right here is we have this 2 5/8, right here, and then it's 5 5/8 long. So almost half, pretty close to half, going this way, and it comes down 5/8, and we have 1 5/8 here. So you can see the chunk here is just pretty close to halfway, and it comes down, what, about a quarter maybe? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make that cut. So, same thing as my picture here. I'm going to make that cut. So here we go. Again, about halfway, maybe about like that. And that feels pretty good right there. And then just take your white eraser and just kind of lighten it. You don't have to erase it really well. Just kind of knock out a little bit of there. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to just project this down, bring this up, and bring it over. Those cuts should look the same because they are. So something like that. So what we're doing is we're basically, knocking out the material that's not there. So we're doing so. If we look at the picture, you can see that the material's gone there. They're pretty much giving you this front view right here on the part that I gave you. Okay. So once you've got that, then what I want you to do is I'd like you to project that edge, this corner. See where it changes direction right there? Project that straight up, nice and light, just super, super light. Something's going on along that line. It's going to be a little clue for us. Really, really light, nice and light, just like that. I'd also like you to take this change in direction here and project that over to the side view. Take this change in direction right here and project it over to the side view. Really light. Kind of like that. What that's going to do is give us clues as to what's happening on the other views as far as what we see. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and look at the third cut here. And the third cut is, kind of looking down there from the top view, about halfway, not quite halfway back, definitely not quite halfway back, and I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way over, something like that. The part I gave you looks something like that. You can see the 1 1/2 here and the 1 inch right here, and this is 1 5/8, so this is just a little more than half right there. So we're going to take this cut out right now. So let's do that. So we're going to, oops, let me put this back up. We're going to go ahead and make that cut. It's definitely not aligned with this. It's over here somewhere, right around there somewhere, not quite halfway back. Something about like that. And then let's go ahead and remove the material. Now, since there's no material anywhere in here, that means this line can't be there. So we're going to go ahead and erase that part as well, right there, just like that. So we have that third cut. So, this is the first cut right here. This is the second cut right here. And then the third cut's kind of coming in from the top. And then again, what we did with the other two cuts is we project. So this change in direction, we're going to project. Get that onto the front view. Then here comes the tricky one. We're going to take this change in direction right here, and we're going to project it over to the side view. We're going to use that drive white technique. Let's see what we get better at as you get practice. But one of those you really need to know how to do it kind of thing. So we're going to bring that down just like that, nice and light. Should be a little bit bigger on this side than on that side. It's not down the middle. Just like that. Now, if you look at the actual part, how many surfaces would you see? Well, you see 1 and 2. The 2 one looks like kind of a sideways T, and there it is. The first one looks kind of like a rectangle, and there it is. So it's laid out for you. If you look at the top view, you'll see this kind of L-ish looking shape. There it is. And then this lower part right here, and there it is. So on these multi-views, you can't tell which one of these is lower or higher until you look at another view. Oh, this one's lower than this, so that means this right here must be lower than this up here. So that's one of the skill sets you're going to learn here as we go through here, as you learn how to communicate these ideas in this new technique. And then on the side view, how many surfaces would you see? And the answer would be 4. They have this long one over here, and so there it is. And then we have the kind of the 1, the 2, and the 3. Again, I can show you the picture. It's not quite as challenging, but you can see the same sort of thing right there. So we're going to see 3 surfaces and then that one long one there off on the left. Notice that they're already there. So all we're going to do is we're going to just do a little nice light erase right here because that material's not there. And the part is solved. They gave you the first 2 views in that problem that I gave you, and then this is how we kind of derived that third one. So this is called a multi-view projection. That what I want you to do is to give me one solid dark line on the good lines. You don't have to go back and erase all these projection lines, leave them there. But what I do want you to do is with one solid dark line. What I don't want you to do is this. Don't go like this. You know, looks like 3rd grade, you know, so on a good day. So not that. All I want is one solid dark line. So you have one clean line to show, you know, the one that you're wanting to keep. So I'm using a 0.7 pencil here to give myself a kind of a little bit thicker, cleaner one that kind of pops. And then we don't worry about those projection lines because they don't really stand out. So if you're sitting in front of a client here, you're going to go over these pretty quickly here because they're not going to be patient once have you watch you go back and darken the stuff and take forever. So go kind of quickly here. If you make a mistake and that just doesn't look very good, just erase it and make it again. You know, it happens. That's why you have the white eraser. I want you to get the practice of trying to move reasonably quickly, though. And then we have the 1 and we have the 2. So there's the 1, 2, and the 3, and the 4. So we have nice one solid dark line. Now, if it starts to fade away, like right in here, that's where you need to do a little quality control there and say, oh, yeah, I'm not really good with that. So I'm going to go back over and try not to duplicate the lines. If you have any extra, just go in there and clean that out a little bit. So, you have nice even corners. And so that's it. So that would be your first multi-view projection. And that's kind of the way I want to see it. I want you to leave in these projection lines. So I want to see those, but super light and super light. But again, the part itself, one solid dark line. On your title block, your name, period, the date, revision A, and then S7. Now, if I grade this and I make some comments like there's something about it maybe you missed a line or 2 or something like that, then what I'll do is I'll kick back your sketch as a revision. So I'll tell you what you didn't do right. You'll go back to the sketch. Call it revision B, and then go back and make the changes, make another picture for me, and then send it back in. So revision A will always be the first one, and then it goes B and C and D. So you'll have an opportunity to go back and make the corrections if you make a mistake. But this is what it should look like when it's all said and done. Make sure your lines are reasonably straight, but they don't have to be perfect, but they should be reasonably straight. All right, and that's it.